Okay, so the clay that you're going to be getting comes in this big block, 25 pounds. All right, and what you're going to do is open it up. It's located in the back. They're going to come in boxes. You may have to start a new box. Okay, as we work today, that's fine. Hanging underneath the cabinet back there are these long pieces. So just take this, and I would say, and I've already done it once for last hour, just slice off probably about an inch. Take an extra clay off, just put it back on. This will be the clay you start with today. It's just about an inch block, okay? And then what you need to do is make sure the last person covers this back up. We don't want to have any air or moisture get to the clay. It will dry it out. A few other tools that you're going to be using. This is called a needle tool. It is sharp. Okay, so it has a needle at the end. You're going to use this for different things, but please be very careful with this. This right here is a ceramic sponge. You want to just moisten it. Oh, thank you. You would want to moisten this sponge then. And this is great for craftsmanship. You would want to get a bucket of slip. The slip bucket is located back by the pottery area. You want to get some clay, also just some water, and then stir it around, mix it up before you start using it. These are different carving tools that you can use. Some people call them ribbon tools. They just have carving areas on the end, different shapes. These are for mending. There's a whole set of new yellow ones in the cupboard there in the drawers. There are 4 drawers there. They have ceramic tools in them. Great for mending. If you don't have a needle tool, if you're working at home, you can also use a fork. And I'll show you what that is for. These are just some main tools. Rolling pin is used for rolling out slabs. And then these are called roller boards. And we'll also use these. These are located in the 4 drawers over here. So the first thing I want to show you is wedging. So I have my hunk of clay, and what I'm going to do is wedge this to try to get all the air bubbles out. Now the clay that comes to us is already processed, doesn't have a lot of air bubbles in it already. So if you tend to get air bubbles, you're doing it yourself. You're actually putting the air bubbles in. So when you wedge, you want to push down from above. It's almost like CPR. Okay? We're kneading out the air bubbles. So I'm pushing towards me, pushing downward. I'm then going to go to the high side, start about an arm length away, and again, push down from above. Pull forward, down from above. And you would want to wedge your clay for about a minute. Don't push too hard, because that's when you actually create air bubbles. If it sticks too much to your table, your clay is too wet. There's just some metal scrapers we can use called a metal rib to scrape your table. But if your clay is too wet, you can just go back and forth between your hands to get the extra moisture off. Your hands will actually dry out. So once it is wedged for a minute, you're going to take this tool and you're going to slice it in half. Take the extra clay off. And I'm just going to check and see. Okay, now I don't have any air bubbles. If there were some air bubbles in there, you would see maybe a dark spot left, but there aren't any. So I'm good to go. I can start working with my clay now. If it has an air bubble in, your project will blow up in the kiln. And then we'll take out whoever's is next to it. So wedging is the most important thing that you can do to your clay, getting out all those air bubbles first. So what I'm working on here is pinching. Pinching is just squeezing between the fingers. Making a fish, and here's going to be the tail area. Nothing can be thicker than a half an inch. Half an inch. Nothing can be thicker than that with clay. If it's thicker than that, it's going to actually take a longer time in the kiln, and it may have some moisture in them and be at higher risk for blowing up. Okay, so there's a start to my fish that I've just pinched out there. Okay. I'll set that aside. If I'm setting it aside, where should it go? Yeah, underneath that paper towel. We want to keep it moist. Coiling is just rolling out a rope like these. So over here I just have another hunk of clay that I've prepared for you guys today. I'm just going to slice off a small section that will work on making a coil. Joe, you want to go get a drink? So this is already pre-wedged. I'm going to start making a coil. A coil is rolling out a rope-like piece or a snake. You start in the center and you work your way outward. Okay, and I'm just rolling. You want to use the part here of your fingers, not your palm area itself. If it starts to flatten out, like this one is getting flat, tip it up on the high side, tap it down, and kind of round out that coil manually before you continue rolling. So you want your clay to be very moist before you start making your coil, because coils break very easily. Again, I start from the center, and I just roll outward as I'm slowly pushing down. Okay, and since we have a fishing theme, maybe the coil could be used for a worm, or a hook, or even a fishing pole. Okay, I'm not ready to put this onto my mug yet. So I'm going to set these aside, and again, I'm going to put these underneath my wet paper towel. Slabs, that's our last kind of hand building. You need a rolling board, rolling pin, and you need the paper. You cannot roll your slab out onto the table or it will stick. So, on the back wall over there is the paper. You're just going to slice off a sheet. We can reuse this from day to day, okay? So when you're done at the end of the hour, we'll just make a pile on the back counter. Okay, you can get that sheet again another day. This has already been wedged. The slab is going to be rolled out from this, so I'm going to actually thin it out a little bit so I don't have to work so much with the rolling pin. I'm going to put the roller boards on either side, and I'm going to start with my rolling pin. If you want your project or your clay wider, maybe you want a circle, you want to move it then and go this way now, and it will widen it out. Did you notice when I moved it, what happened to the paper? It did leave a mark. Paper absorbs the moisture that's in the clay, water, stuff we want in there. So what you need to do is continue moving it around, and as soon as you're done, take it off the paper. Now for our purposes, we want actually a long piece, because we're making a mug today. If you happen to see what you think is an air bubble, maybe just a piece moves from now and again on there, take your needle tool and pop that air bubble, just in case there is one there. Roll it over several times, make sure you push down hard enough, and now we have our start. We're going to take it off the paper. Since we're making a personalized mug, you can use a coffee cup for a reference. Remember, yours is going to have a non-traditional handle, but we're still going to make the cylinder area pretty much the same. It's going to have a round bottom to it. Okay. Remember, it will shrink. Does anyone remember how much? 10%. Good. So it will shrink about 10%, depending on the size. You know, you can make these quite large. Maybe not this big though, right? I wouldn't want to use this for my bottom. That would be a very large mug. So think about the size and how much it's going to be shrinking. And if you want, you can use anything in the room. There are several circular things that you could use for the bottom of your vase. You could make it that large, or you could go coffee cup size and make it that small. That's fine. We'll start with just this. Now I want to actually conserve as much as I can of this slab, so I might not have to roll out another one. So I'm going to actually just push this coffee cup down, roll it around, and it left a ring there. I'm going to use my needle tool. So I have the cylinder part of my cup made. All right, I've gone through, I've cleaned it up. Anytime you want to join two pieces together, you have to score, slip, and mend. So whether you're going to have an interesting handle on here, like an earthworm, or you're going to attach that fish that you made, okay, interesting looking fish, you're going to want to score, slip, and mend that together. So if I want to score, slip, and mend, I would just outline where this is at, score the area. I would score the back side as well. And you're going to slip one side. You're going to tap the slip in, and then wiggle it in. And then you're going to want to mend, making sure that there's a seam, or the seam is gone, I should say. Always clean it up with the sponge. Okay, so that seam there has been cleaned. Your handles, make sure a lot of you have coils picked out that is a strong enough handle. You do score, slip, and mend everything on. This is a sculpture in the round, which means we can see it from every angle. So even though your sketch was just of one side, what's going to go on the other side? That's something to think about as well. At the end of the hour, you will need to wash all of your tools up in the sink. You need to take care of them where you got them from. The slip, just scrape it out. There are spoons back there. Scrape it out, and then go and wash out the little pink tub. Put it back where you got it from. The sponges you could just wash out, and they go back by the slip bucket as well. Your table requires 4 steps to clean. The first is using a spray solution, which is located on the sink. Spray it down, then use a wet sponge, then wet paper towel, and then dry paper towel. You have to do that in order to get all of the clay off. I have students drawing at those tables as well. There's clay on the table like this. That's going to be hard for them to draw on. Any questions? Okay, thank you.